NCLUG presentation for NCDOT OpenX Update Week. OpenX refers to all of the different Bentley Connect Edition brands. NCLUG is proud to partner with NCDOT to bring you these unit updates. This session's today will be on Roadway. Before we get started, I have a few things for you to note. This webinar is a presentation, so all attendees will be muted. At any time during the webinar, if you have any questions, you can add them to the chat box and we will get to them at the end. And you can also raise your hand at the end of it to be called on. The chat function is for Q&A purposes only. So if you have any comments to other people, please send those directly to that person so that it's easier for us to track the questions. The recording will be shared after the video has ended. NCLUG is offering PDH credits to those who have registered on the website, and those credits will be sent out via email after the meeting. Now I'd like to introduce Jason Moore of the Roadway Design Unit.
Thank you, Bryce. Good morning, everyone. My pledge to everyone this morning is I will be the shortest presenter of the entire conference because Oak has a lot to cover. He's doing some important demos and trying to pack a lot into our hour. So I want to give him as much time as possible because I know learning how to use ORD is what y'all are interested in. So all I wanted to touch on this morning was to update you on the current status of Roadway's ORD training modules and briefly mention our plans for updating Roadway's website. So here's the list I showed you last year. The first 8 modules we published right after we held OpenX last year. The 3 in red we were still working on at the time. And that list on the right is just a kind of an example there. It was the original training list that we thought we'd need to cover with ORD when we first started looking into it. But that was really before we knew what we were doing. So here's how the list looks now. You can see it's expanded some, and we renumbered some of the modules to match the flow of project development. We did publish the detailed modeling module, that's number 11. In red there, we're still working on the sheeting and the hearing map modules, but we're getting into the short roads of both of these. Oak elected to take care of the ORD templates module all by himself, so he'll be working on that this year. And the 3 you see in blue are the ones that are on deck. They're the ones that we feel we can safely tackle next. And we plan on having those developed by next summer. The 2 at the bottom are areas that we think just aren't quite stable enough to try and provide guidance on right now. And plus we've got a lot going on, so we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. So we'll be getting to those in the future. Oh, and as far as location, this is where our training modules are located on a website. If you go under our technical resources, under training files, that's where you'll find all the zip files are located. And lastly, speaking of websites, we are engaged in redesigning ours at the moment. The Roadway website, as you know, basically consists of only 3 pages, a landing page, and pages for technical and design resources. We're going to change the landing page, the page you see here, pretty significantly, and we're going to reorganize our content under the resource pages to make things easier to find. Like one of the plans is to separate out all the ORD content from the V8I, so those resources are more focused. And we do also plan to make some other changes to sort of update, modernize, and streamline the way those resources present on our website. So more to come on that. And that's it, y'all. Zip, zam, zoom. If you have any thoughts on the website, love to hear from you, or anything else for that matter. As always, we're here to help. Here's our contact information. Do please stay in touch. Back to you, Bryce.
Thanks, Jason. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. I guess we'll go to the next.
Yes. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
somebody
sorry.
raised their hand.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that microphone to work. Yeah, can you go back to the slide with the zip files?
Sure. Those are actually like screen cuts of it doesn't appear that way on our website. If you'll go to, this is what it looked like on our website. If you can see the technical resources button there, that's the first place you'll go. And then when you go there on the right side of the page, you'll see this training files area. And all I did was type the word module into that, and it'll pull up exclusively all of our training modules have the word module. They start with module 1, module 2, module 3.
Okay, thank you.
If that's helpful, sure.
All right, anyone else?
I put it in the chat, but I'll just go ahead and ask it. When are the red and blue modules going to be available? I didn't quite catch the time frame on those.
Yeah, our plan is we're gonna start the red. I would expect to have both of those by the end. Well, let me put it this way. I think we'll have the sheeting done and perhaps published by the end of this quarter or early the following quarter. Hearing map production will probably be during the second quarter of this year. And ORD templates, I wouldn't look for that till later. Oak's kind of fitting that in with the rest of his work. I would say that will be until, late this winter. The blue we're trying to stagger through the end of the fiscal year. Resurfacing grade, we're trying to schedule each one. They'll take 3 to 4, maybe sometimes 5 if it gets challenging. The quantities and cost estimates, one could be a little challenging. But we're planning on staggering those, module 9 would probably be ready at the end of quarter 3. Then interchange would probably be the first of next year. And then quantities and cost estimates towards the middle of next year. That helps.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Sure.
Okay, we have a question in the chat. Is there a primer for sheeting?
A primer for sheeting? No, not a primer per se. We're actually so close. We had a meeting yesterday on that. In fact, Brian's on the call. He's the one kind of shepherding that one for us. We're high 90s, 98, 99% on having that ready. In fact, we just need to get a final draft in, look it over, and that could be published in just a few weeks. So
I think someone just mentioned that. Bentley website would be, Learn Center would be the primer for sheeting. I think somebody put that in the chat.
Oh, I thought you were asking if there's a primer for us, from us. No, we're not.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are, but that we don't.
Quick Start is a primer.
Yeah, Quick Start is a primer. Yeah, that's a good point. The original sheeting that Oak did.
Yeah.
And everyone should be aware these are training modules, not policy manuals. I guess that's a good way to put it. These are much like the Bentley modules, just more NCDOT oriented.
All right, well, if there are no more questions, we can go to, I guess, Oak next.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Let me share my screen. I'm sorry for the, I'll apologize now. In the past, I have a 4K panel and it eats up a lot of bandwidth and sometimes it lags. So I must apologize for it now if that happens during the presentation. Also, too, I don't have any PowerPoint presentation. I know I disappointed some of the PowerPoint fans. I'm just a more show and tell guy, so I do a lot more show and tell. So I want to do three things today: sheeting, item types, and earthwork. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of them, but I made some shortcuts to 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 make this go a little bit faster. So hopefully we'll get to them, and then we can always stick around, and you guys can jump off anytime when the presentation's over, I guess. So as far as introduction, I've been with Roadway Design, NCDOT, just in Roadway Design for going 27 years now. So those that knows me and work with me on a daily basis know I'm pretty much relaxed on things, and I like a lot of participation with these type of presentations. So ask away. I don't mind a question. It's sometimes challenges to do better. So the first thing is sheeting. So what I really want to point out about sheeting, the key is where is everything located. So in our sheeting training module, Jason just mentioned there. So we kind of mimic some of the folder structure that's present in ProjectWise and the non-managed workspace, R drive, and so forth there. So we'll have, your regular unit folders up here. And then there's this work set folder, which is per project. So each project will have a work set folder. And in this work set folder here, we'll share the PPO, or the plan profile layout, for the plan sheets, the XPL, the cross section report layout. So we'll share these name boundary layout DGN files along with the DGNWS in here. But the DGNWS for these training module works differently. They're located in the workspace and not in the work set folder. But in a normal production environment, you will see a DGNWS in here. Okay, so another important location here is the roadway sheets folder. This is where all our sheets DGN resides for a unit. And the important file here is your title block. So your title block border file here, TBB file here. And notice you have this PE seals and your company logo. If you have it here, you store it under the sheets folder. And in this title block border file here for your unit, you'll work out a layout of the title block you want to show in conjunction with the border that we share with all the NCDOT units there. So there's the common one that we share with everybody that's in the work sets folder, and your unit custom one is located here. So your title block that you want to show for your unit is worked up in here. So I have a seed file in the workspace that, pull up a blank here, and then you put the PE seals and your company logo here if you need to. And you designate your county location and stuff. Set up the way you want it to here. So in this TBB file here, you actually have different layouts. So I have the basic layout here, and some project might have a right-of-way number to it. So we'll add that here. Some may have the construction right-of-way revision notes that's needed here. This was originally signed and sealed on by this date by this person, and now it's being resealed and redesigned or revised by this person, and so forth. So the different, depending on the layout that you need to show, we put it all this. And the title block, the TBB, is per project. So every project is going to be different. Every project is going to have different seals, different layout, and so forth. So we work out this for the unit. And what we do here is, so how do we attach this title block to the custom unit? You know, our custom title block to the overall common border that we share with other units. So the one thing we can do is add this title block, reference it to the drawing sheet. So in the workspace here, the drawing sheets are located on NCDOT, teaching library sheet Cs here. So each one of these is a drawing sheet. So like in the 50 scale plan sheet here, we'll open that up here. This is one way. I'll show you another way to do this. If you can't do this, like in ProjectWise, the workspace is only read only, right? You don't have access to open it and edit it or reference things to it. So this is one way to add that title block information to the sheet borders that we share with everybody. So in this drawing sheet here, we can go to the sheet model here. And in the sheet model here, notice I added this TBB file, our TBB file to this. So we just reference it. We just say, just go grab that from your project folder, go grab that, or the work set folder, and grab that and put it reference to this sheet, right? So when we do that, we can just go back to the multi-model view here. And then open your layout in the work set, the name boundary that we share with everybody in the sheeting module in the work set folder. So we have this plan profile layout, right? So we open that. And the key thing about the layout here is we can, define the clip boundaries for each sheet here as name boundary here. So the important thing here is first, if you have like an interchange sheet somewhere, in your project here, like we have 1, 2, 3 here, do those first. So right here, we have an interchange sheet here, interchange sheet here, and an interchange sheet here. And when you do place name boundary here, you do have options, different options based on the drawing sheet here. Like, I did 50 scale plan sheet, but here's the 50 scale interchange detail sheet, which is 34 inch by 62 inch. Or you could do, like in this case, I did 100 scale plan sheet for these interchanges. So you do have those options here, 100 scale plan sheet or a 50 scale interchange detail sheet, which is quite large, 34 by 62 inches. But yeah, do the interchange sheets first and work around those. And you'll come up with the, you can go to the name boundary manager here, this little triangle on the lower right corner here. And then here is all the one that we set up in this file. So I have all my Y lines and stuff stored here. And I organized the name boundary accordingly. So now when I'm ready to cut cross section, or when I'm ready to cut plan sheets here, I could just highlight these. And remember, these are different scales, so I don't want to do them. I don't want to do the interchange sheets at the same time I do my regular with the scale sheets. So I do those first and make sure to check this on to show the drawing dialog box here. And I'm going to say create plan drawing. Okay, so in this case, there's two things to be aware of in this dialog box. The rest is pretty much set up by your seed. So I don't have to worry about any of this stuff except for two things. The first thing is selecting my north arrow designation. So this is, you know, a place where you want to show what NAD designation for your plan sheet will be. So I'll choose 83 2007 here. The second thing is we recently discovered that if you put too much drawings and sheets into a file, because we used to put everything in this layout file, the drawings and the sheets, it becomes very big and it lags. So we decided to put all the drawings in one file and all the sheets in one file. So these two options allows you to do that. So it tells you in when we create the drawings for these sheets, where do you want to put them? I can put them in this file, or I can specify a file. So we'll do it in the roadway sheets. And we got this PLD, or plan drawings. So all drawings go in this file, okay? And all the sheets goes into this PLS. That right there. So the PLS, or the plan sheet, all sheets goes in here. So that way to minimize the amount of drawings and sheets in a file, to make it easier to navigate, to, you know, and work with. And, you know, if you had a bridge project, you don't need to do this because you put it all in one file, but in the layout. But for larger projects like these, you don't want to put all the drawings and all your sheets in that one file there. So we need to separate those things to make it a little bit manageable. Okay. Okay, so I specified those two things. I'm done. So I just hit OK here. And it'll go through and create the sheets, the drawings and sheets for me in those two different files. Okay, so notice, you know, your last sheet here is created and it has the your title block information for what we like to show in roadway design. So another way, and why do we have it in a per project, per you know, different layout per project basis? So in this case here, I can easily change it to a different layout. Say later down the project line there, the project comes back and say we need to do a right-of-way revision or a construction revision. I need to show a different layout. So how would I do that? I'll just simply go to my layout file here, my title block border here, and switch the model here. So I have the base here, but I have a right-of-way revision here. Just change that layout and Voila. So you have, you know, you don't have to go into each sheet and change it. You just change it one time. In just choose the model that's referenced to it. There's only one file that you're referencing, and you can have different layout. So that is the benefit, I guess, to having this one TPB file per project, and you can show the different layout here. Okay, so that's one way of inserting your custom title block for the unit that we share all the common border with. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a different way. Say like in project wise, you can't do this. You can't go into the workspace and start referencing title block files. So I have the plan sheet default here. Here's also some sheets that I created without the title block, right? This is just the common border we share with everybody. So it just has this information here. So if you want to add your custom block afterwards, after the sheet's been created, this is easy. So you would go in here, just reference, attach your TBB file here. And you could just do coincident world because everything's 0, 0 from this point. Open and so forth. So that's how you attach it after, you created a sheet that you share with everybody. And, here I'm showing Roadway. Say one possible thing, and this is not what location surveys would do, but one possible thing they can do is if they had a right-of-way recordation sheet, they need to do like the LS title block for right-of-way. Here, I could just switch that model, right? Create the sheet, and this will be their, RW right-of-way sheet with the survey seal. They don't need the other stuff like roadway shows. So it's a very simple and easy way to share the same common border, but still customize the unit title block area. I mean, by title block area, I mean this area here under your sheet numbers and TIP number. Also, forgot to mention, how does the TIP number and your sheet number get involved? That's where sheet indexing and your DGNWS comes to play. So let's look at that real quick. So I mentioned in a normal project, your DGNWS sits inside the workset folder, but in a training environment, it sits in the workspace. So each unit will have a workset, training worksets here under the unit. So this is here, the DGNWS is here. Let's open that up. A DGNWS is just like any DGN file. So I can open it up here using MicroStation ORD. And how does it harvest that TIP information number into your sheet? So we use what we call a custom property of a DGNWS, a workset property. So what we do here, I know we're not the only DOT that uses the, I hate to embarrass myself and say metadata, but it is a metadata or properties of your DGNWS file. Here. So here we can go into properties in the DGNWS. And here under worksets property, we key in the TIP number to show up on our title block. So here I can just put I don't know, something different here. And close out this file here. When I make changes to here, and the next time I go into a sheet file, since it's reading that DGNWS property, I expect that to show up on all the sheets. So let's go to the sheets. If Jason, you can keep up the time, if I, I want to make sure I leave some time for questions and answers, because I know I probably had too much thing to show all at one time.
We're at the midpoint.
Okay. Okay, so notice my TIP there changed based on what I key in my DGNWS properties. So that's how this is, I guess this is how it harvests that DGNWS properties here. Also, the sheet number is controlled through sheet indexing. So under Explorer here, somebody mentioned the quick start earlier. We did this in the quick start training. There is nothing new under sheet indexing. So because that DGNWS, that's all sheet indexing. So if you click on this sheet index tab, it directly reads that DGNWS file. If you delete that DGNWS, this goes blank, okay? So we share that DGNWS with everybody. So anybody can go in there and start deleting stuff and, move stuff and so forth. We're not protecting any folder, but we like to organize that sheet index to some kind of structure, so like I would put Roadway in front of my folders and organize the sheets accordingly. And what we normally do here is I can, delete all this here. Make it editable first. And I'm gonna delete these sheets that we created here. And this is, like I said, it's not right protected by anything, so anybody have access it per project. So this is project basis. So here, I will look at the properties before I set up the sheet index here. So for the folder here, I want to, show that I don't want any prefix and start with sheet 4. Right. So I can set the properties here before I add the actual sheet models. So it has to be a sheet model to be added as part of the sheet index here. And that's how I can renumber, because sometimes when this comes up, it states, plan 4, plan 5, or whatever. It's not really a number. So we can use sheet index to renumber some of these sheets. So the next thing I want to do is add plan, add sheets to this folder. So we can go to the sheeting, Roadway, sheets, the plan sheet file here that we created here, right? And it will ask, which sheet do you want to add to this index? So I'm gonna add all of them. And once I add all of them, they can renumber and resequence it, and that's how it knows how to renumber these sheet numbers. So if you originally pulled up this plan sheet and it says plans 5 or 8 or whatever plan sheet. It's not a number. Don't worry about that. You just use your sheet indexing here to do the sheet renumbering here. And you can see start with 4 like we told it to and go all the way down to whatever that you need. And the good thing about sheet indexing is I could just double click on that and it takes me to that file there. So, you know, another thing is I could be in a totally different file. I could be in the, let's say I was in the drawing file here. Well, I don't even have to be in that same folder. As long as I'm in that project, I have access to that sheet index. You know, I could be in a different unit. As long as I'm working on that project, I have access to this sheet indexing. So I can go, you know, to the sheet 6 or sheet 9 here, just by double clicking on it. See, and it does read the your sheet indexing does something to the properties of the model, like your sheet model here. Like we'll look at L9 here. If you look at the properties of that model under sheets there, it also, you know, right there, sheet number, that's where the sheet index does the renumbering and it gets added here.
Hey, Oak, we're getting a little bit of lag from your screen. If you don't mind just slowing down a little.
Okay. Yeah, I'm afraid that was going to happen because of the 4K panel. Apologize for that. Okay. Same thing with profile sheets and cross-section sheets. So that's pretty much. And then, you know, sheet indexing goes with print organizer. So in our quick start training, we show you how to do the print organizer, set up your let me just, I need to highlight the folder first and then print organizer. And you know, you can print or create PDFs of all the sheets here, but there's certain steps you can take to create PDFs of the sheets and how you want to name it and so forth. So there's some of the options here, but that's how sheet indexing ties with print organizer. So we're exploring a lot of microstation print because it's tied in with the sheet indexing methods, I guess, more than the iPlot stuff, I guess. Also, too, if you want to manually print, you can always hit print right here, microstation print. In the sheet models, everything's already set up. So we have already set up the plot configuration here, pin table, and everything's all set. So and the preview looks right and so forth. So, you know, we did a lot of, you know, already presets things for you if you want to use microstation print instead of iPlot. We done a lot of development for iPlot before. You know, in V8 we were masters of the iPlot design scripts, and we did everything we can. I think we developed that technology far as it can go. it was just lagging the print side, the pen table, print side of things. That we heard feedbacks from our consultants that print is free, so we're compared to iPlot, which costs a little bit more to get. So we're developing more microstation print and pen tables and print organizer now in ORD. Okay, give time for that to catch up, and we can go on to the next item type stuff. Item types. Okay, so has the screen or the display caught up yet?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
Just showing your, yeah, we're good.
Okay, yeah, I like I said, I apologize from the beginning with this 4K panel. Okay, so item types. Let's look at chapter 15. Quantities and estimates. Roadway. And so item types here. Let's look at here. How does this play into what we're starting to develop? So it's fairly new for us. Item types have been around for the past couple of versions of ORD. Well, it's been around forever because microstation tags, but they beefed it up with ORD, item type plus, remember that term, and then item type noun, and they did tremendous development in the last two versions now that you can have more than one item type per feature definition. So how does this all tie in to the workspace and what we're trying to do? So under NCDOT, you have what we call asset manager. That's used to put in civil information like alignment, station offsets, stuff like that. So that's what we use asset manager for right now. And then the teaching libraries, item types. You'll find the pay item lookup Excel. This is a direct transport, the 2019, 2020 transport pay item list. So what we felt important was to tie this in somewhere with how we do quantities, to get the pay item number, to get the class, to get the all the properties that comes out of transport that we need to show on our estimates. So this is the actual 2019, 2020 Excel sheets for all your pay item that we have in transport. The rest of the stuff is really just stuff. I really don't need to worry about them. Okay, so how does this tie in? So any unit can do this. Go to their feature definition library, and in the feature definition here, like here, put in your, create a item types in that library, and then link it to your feature definition. So how would this play out when you create a corridor with you using those feature definitions? So we can show you how to do that. So how does this all work when you create your corridor? How does item types and all this stuff will help me with my estimates and quantities? Oops, am I in it? Let's be, yep. So I'm in a file here. I'm going to do my corridor. Okay, so this is just got your existing terrain boundary and my alignments, and I'm going to create a corridor here. And template already. So I'm going to use a, just an example, a urban curb gutter 3-lane per side. Just going to do one from the beginning to the end. And when that comes up here, and I think we kind of guess what we want to do in the beginning, but then and Dan Ahern from Bentley says, well, you probably want to approach it differently. Okay, so we create the model here, and you can see the 2D here, right? So the 2D here, the regalia curb and gutter for Bill here. That's my guy, Clemson fan. Yeah. But here, when I create the corridor here, I have some properties, item type properties on each of these payment lane here. So if I look at the properties, that's not the properties. Here. So each lane here has 2 item types. The linear station offsets here is blank right now. And then some curb and gutter. Remember that transport pay item Excel sheet that we link in our workspace. This is where it shows up. So I could say, well, this is actually 9.5B or 9.5A or whatever, here. I could change it, and you can see it changes if it was, change the pay item number and all this good stuff here. The quantities and stuff is already known. So it gets some of these information from that linkage to the transport pay item list. So by creating the corridor, you get all this for free. In other words, I'm trying to say. But sometimes when this doesn't comes up, really, and you have to change it, say it was different or something, it could be a pain in the butt, right? Trying to do each lane. So what we did was create a graphical filter here under geometry, select by graphical filter here. And in the Roadway workspace here, we can select a graphical filter payment, a different payment here. I used it, so it's in this file here, like the surface course. Click, it's going to just select all the surface course for me. I can change all at once. Go in here and then just change it all at once here. I change it to, B maybe. Yeah, so now all the surface courses that type. Okay. So once we get all the item types and the things we want to associate that with an alignment and so forth, and station offset and so forth. The way to do that is through Asset Manager. So under Asset Manager here, open the Asset Manager file in the workspace. There's a configuration somewhere that does this. Just haven't spent the time to check that out. Okay, so what we want is linear station offset here. And here is a way, it took me half a day to figure out where this is, what it is, this is. But here's a way to assign your assets to a alignment for stationing and offset. So you use this linear reference here. Click on this button and identify the, has to identify this alignment here, which is Y11 here. And this is coming straight from Bentley, says you may want to change your approach to, have the blank station offset in here, but put everything in the 3D model, not in the 2D model. Right now, the current version, all your item type stuff needs to go into 3D stuff, and then we'll figure out the 2D stuff later on. Okay, so right here, remember all those empty station offset and alignment stuff. Now we have something to work to assign it to. We can just say update station offset of all elements in this 3D model here. So we do update asset here. You notice you get a prompt now. It says 30 information here. It says 30 elements been updated. So now if we look at the elements in these files in the corridor here, notice they're assigned with the station offset and so forth. Okay, so that's a quick and easy way of saying, when you first create the model here, it's going to be blank. So we don't know what alignment, what station offset until you want to tell me through Asset Manager what they are. Okay, so once you have that, and I'm ready to do reporting and whatever. So reporting is quite easy. Just go to reports here, and we set up some reporting styles and so forth. So right here, we can do what we call it service course 9.5B. We can do a preview of that before we replace it. So that's what it looks like. That's how I want the tables to look like. The reporting on that. So if I'm okay with that, I can place it in the file here. So I can place a table in the MicroStation file. And we set up some seeds here, table seeds. So, you got orange, blue title. I try to do alternate colors, but let's just pick blue for now. And you can put that table right here in your 2D file of, with your reference 3D model there. So that is a MicroStation table. Another thing that threw me for a loop was how do I, this is a MicroStation table. It mimics an Excel sheet. So notice my ribbon, my toolbars and stuff here. I don't get the edit spreadsheet tools until I click on the actual table. When I click on table, look at the tools that's available to me now. So I was puzzled for that. I was trying to find out where these tools were. All you had to do was just click on the table and the tools comes up. Yeah, I feel silly after a while. But this is how, it looks like Excel,
Hey, Oak, can you give the screen just a little time to catch up?
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's caught up now.
Okay. Yeah, I apologize. The bandwidth on the 4K panel is just taking too much. But you can see
The last
Marcus.
minute mark, if y'all will start transitioning to some questions.
Just type in your question and we'll get it into the. But that's we developed that for item types, like I said, we got curb and gutter, we got guardrail, starting out with pavement and so forth. So we can quantify things that's model, right? Anything that's in the model, we can quantify it and create tables, reports, and stuff out of. Here's even a overall payment report. I just want to see the payment for everything. So we can definitely provide that information too. And the two type reports we're looking at is the one we do for the calc sheets, right? The one we need to provide the plan checkers with. And then the other type is the AWP quantities. We don't know, we don't care where it is. Just tell me what you have for the total project, that type of report, right? So we can do both. And that's what we're exploring now with AWP, replacing transport, and the calc sheets, we're replacing those two. Okay, so got 3 minutes. Or just we could take questions. Yeah, just take question. I'm not. We could do earthwork after if somebody wants to stick around.
So I'll just go through the chat and start
Yeah.
going through the questions. Chad Blackman, I think your question was answered on the print organizer, but did you have any other questions about that? Yes, not. Okay. When we're setting up projects on ProjectWise, where would the DGWS file need to be located?
Yeah, we're working on the same work set folder in ProjectWise, so it'd be inside the work set folder.
Is there a separate plot configuration for feasibility maps?
We haven't created another one. We just have one for Roadway right now for PDS. But if we need to develop it, yeah, let us know, or we can help whoever needs it to develop one.
Okay, and then does anybody have any other questions related directly to the session?
Must be perfect. It's working perfectly. No, I can assure you it's not perfect.
Okay. I guess. Did you want to go into the earthwork, Oak?
Yeah, if no more questions, I could go into the earthwork. So earthwork starts out with your CMD file, right? So let me go to chapter. I'm in the chapter 15. So I can go to my CMD file, and the first step is just changing your corridor feature definition. So here is my corridor, and what I want to do is just change the feature definition here. So, the feature definition, I mean the corridor feature definition. So we can do conceptual, design, or final. But for earthwork, we want to go to the roadway earthwork corridor. Okay, change that corridor feature definition to earthwork. And what that does is create a bottom mesh of your roadway template. See there in the 3D and the cross section view. So it went and create a bottom mesh of the corridor. So the objective here is to compare that surface with the existing ground surface to create earthwork. So this would be a cut and that would be a fill, cut, fill, right? So when we do this, we will go into another file here. So we just changed the feature definition. Bear in mind, we didn't do anything to this file. We just changed how it looks, right? We didn't delete anything or remove any information. In fact, I'll show you afterward. We can change this back to, the design and everything still shows up normally. But now, earthwork, we have a EAR file or EAR file here for earthwork here. So we do all our earthwork in the EAR file. So it's just reference that CMD file and the other stuff. What the first thing to do in this place is create your cut and fill volume, comparing the surface of this mesh with the existing ground. So to do that, you'll go into home. Was it the analysis, civil analysis, create cut and fill volumes. So I want to compare the two surfaces. Set my feature definition here. Volumes cut and volumes fill. There, I have other options here. I want to do unsuitable material and so forth. I'm not going to get into that technical with it. So these things are okay. I just accept the prompts here. So you can see how quickly it does that. So what it did was now all my greens are cut, all my volumes, all my red volumes here are filled, right? So I have my cut and fill volume. The next question to ask is, how do I want to cut this up? How do I want to do the calculations, I guess? I mean, we already have the total here, but how do you want to break the earthwork up? So we do that through name boundaries. So under drawing production here and under name boundary, and one of the mode here that you want to see is earthwork. And what that is set up to do is 50 foot, the traditional 50 foot, right? We do 50 foot earthwork breakdowns. But that's satisfying our old method, right? We can do this all day long. So to me, we're proving we could do this. We can do what we always done in V8. And once you have your name boundary drawn like this, now you are ready to compute.
We're getting a little
earthwork.
bit of lag on the screen.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay, it's caught up now.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so now I'm ready to do earthwork based on my name boundary. So what I can do now is under home, so analysis, quantities report by name boundaries. And I could choose that name boundary there. And then this option here actually cuts every 50 foot, it cuts a slice of it. If you want to do that, and like we used to check our cross section shapes for the area, or we can do the same thing with volumes. If you have this check, I'm not going to check this, but if you want to, you can have this on and it will chop up the different slices of volume. So you can go back and actually measure each volume at each station to make sure it's computer right. So I'll do that and accept that. So it's going to process each earthwork per 50-foot station based on the name boundary. So right here you get the quantities, area, and then the quantities here. Top slope area, boundary. Then you get a grand total at the end, I guess. So there's certain things you could, if you don't want to see certain things, you can turn off. It's just, turning the levels off. If you don't want to see the bottom mesh quantities or whatever. But that's how you do earthwork. What I like to see happen is, forget this 50-foot stuff. Just do like what we do with the balance card. So to me, it will make more sense in ORD to do this. To me, I already know this is about. To me, that makes more sense to me. And then, I'll do my earthwork, and I have another shape here, another name boundary here. So I'll do my earthwork, not 50-foot increments, but to the beginning in a bridge, every 3,000 feet, and left and right or center line, draw those things with your name boundary. The same type of range you would show on your balance sheet. I would say, makes more sense than doing 50-foot traditional 50-foot sections, because you get the same quantities. I mean, all that quantity goes into the earthwork balance sheet anyway. There's, we can do it, compute the volume, but you still have to adjust for the different things, incidental items and so forth on the balance card that you just can't get purely from the model. So the quantities you get from the report still has to go through the balance sheet, earthwork balance sheet process to accurately account for them. But the range now should match. Instead of 50-foot, I would say the range now matched the range you enter in your balance sheet. So that's pretty simple, right? Earthwork is not that difficult. It's just prismoidal, comparing the surface of your bottom mesh with the surface of the existing ground. And as I promised, I'll go back to the original CMD file here. And I promise I didn't do anything to the corridor. I just changed the feature definition here. If I change this back here to say design or conceptual or any of those things, final, it's all back there. So I didn't get rid of any models of pavement or any of that stuff. It's all back there, right? Yep. Any questions on that?
In the chat, we have a question. Will it automatically trace the existing ground mesh for the wedging sections? Is that understood from the template?
Yes, yes. Yeah, the component, the overlay stripping component actually traced the existing ground surface.
Since the model is calculating the earthwork in quantities, is there a best practice for QC accuracy?
Yeah, through the balance sheet. Balance sheet, and then remember that option where you can turn on to clip the volumes, so you can go actually do a measurement. You can physically measure, like when we used to measure cross section shapes. We can actually measure volumes in the 3D model of that, per station or whatever. There's a yeah, you can use was it measure volume to measure right there. Check each station if you want to.
All right. Do we have any other questions for Oak? All right. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you, Oak. Thank you, Oak. Thanks. Well, we do have a question here. Does DOT still require a cross-section summary?
Cross section summary. Yeah, like the parcel index sheet, or some the not the X1A. I mean, it's the project still requires X1A sheet, but we're trying to get. I mean, it's not we, but we have to talk with the Roadway office, one office, about the future of the X1A sheet. But the sheet that describes the different alignments and sheet number per alignment, I think that is the summary sheet that you're talking about, and that's still required. But as far as the X1A sheet, that's 50-foot earthwork accumulated, and then tells you, embankment and excavation and rock and undercut and all that stuff. That's still in the air. I think we need to talk with the roadway fund office and the agency community if that's needed.
All right. Well, thank you, Oak. Thanks, Jason, for presenting this session for us. All of the recordings can be found on the NCLUG website under presentation archives, but someone also posted the link in the chat window for you. Ian Bordeaux he posted in the chat to verify your attendance, and you can download your PDH credit. But if we don't have any other questions, I think that'll be it. We hope to see you all later on today at the hydraulics session. And have a great day.
Yeah, I like to say, all the coordinators has done a pretty good job. I'm very impressed with those presentations. So to my comrades, they're done a fabulous job with all the presentation and going to do them.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone.